Today is a quick tutorial for us to start learning how to navigate the platform and for us to get comfortable with MetaTrader. Now, what do we have in front of us here? Well, MetaTrader 4 can be broken down visually into separate segments, and in this tutorial we'll walk through them one by one. We won't go into too much depth because we'll discuss everything along the course in its due time, but at the same time I'll just name the segments and tell you what they're there for. So first off, at the top here we've got a control ribbon where you've got the file, view, insert, charts, tools, window, help. From this ribbon you can do virtually anything in MetaTrader 4, but at the same time it's not as conveniently presented as the rest of the platform. Next we've got the toolbar over here, and we'll talk about the toolbar in more detail further down in this course, and I'll show you how to customize the toolbar so you have exactly the functions that you need, exactly the tools in this toolbar that you'll be using. And for now we'll just click this button over here to arrange our windows, and as you can see they arrange very nicely like that. What else do we have? So we've got the time frames here, we've got some markup tools, and once again we'll be customizing all of this to suit your specific requirements and your trading style. Next, on the left here we've got the market watch window, and so I'm going to expand this window over here. Let me do that again. So I'm going to expand that maybe a bit more, and once again I'm just going to click that button so they tile nicely. So the market watch, what it does, it has all the currency pairs. It doesn't necessarily have all the ones that are available to you right now, and I'll show you how to fix that up later on in the course, but it's got some of the currency pairs and some of the instruments that you can trade, and as you can see it's quite a long list. It even has like gold here and silver and some other instruments that you are possibly can trade, and it's got some information about them. So it's got the bid, the ask price, and basically you can use this market watch to quickly open a new charts if you like, and let's go ahead and do that now. So let's say we want to look at Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, and we'll just go right click. So that was a right click, and we go chart window, and there we go. I just opened up a new chart. So we'll leave it there for now. Next we've got the navigator window down at the bottom here, and the navigator window allows you to first of all look at your accounts. So if you have multiple accounts in one trading terminal, you can switch between them using the navigator window. So you can see that's my account over there, Kirill Romenko. And then we've got the indicators. So we'll talk about indicators. We'll have a separate section about indicators, and I will tell you what they're there for. But basically, if you want to add indicators to your chart, this is one of the ways you can do it. It's very visual and very nicely formatted, so kind of like folder style. So you have a folder which is indicators, and you've got subfolders in here as well. You've got expert advisors or scripts, and we'll be talking about all of those in their respective sections. So we'll get back to that further down in the course. And then down here at the bottom, you've got the terminal window. So over here on the left it says terminal, and this window is predominantly used to get information about your trading terminal. So the open orders, the closed orders, your exposure, any journals, and so on. And we'll talk about the terminal window in more depth, but this is the window located down here. Also, there's another window which you cannot see right now, and if we click this button here, strategy tester, you'll see it'll pop up. So this is another window, tester, and this is for testing automated trading strategies, but we won't be talking about this. I have a separate course on automated trading strategies, so we'll just close this window. I just wanted to show you that it is there if you want to bring it up. All right, and then finally, most importantly, we've got the main part of MetaTrader 4. This is your workspace. This is where your charts are. So I can double click this chart to expand it, and that is how you would normally probably look at a currency pair, so you're not distracted by other charts. At the same time, as we know, you can click this tile window and it will be nicely tiled there for you. And then once again you can switch between the charts. So if you have it in full screen mode, you can switch between the charts over here. You will have the separate tabs, so don't worry, they haven't disappeared. You can very quickly switch between your charts. So once again, let's press that tiled button, and there we go. That is our basic intro to MetaTrader 4 in the upcoming tutorials and sections, we will discuss all of this in much more depth, and you will know exactly how to navigate and use these features to your advantage. Today's going to be a very fun tutorial. We're going to talk about Forex Charts. Very often when you hear about Forex Charts, you hear the abbreviation OHLC. So what does it even stand for, and what does it mean? OHLC stands for Open, High, Low, and Close. And to get to know this abbreviation a bit better, we're going to start by drawing two axes. The horizontal axis will be time, and the vertical axis will be price. Now, these four blue lines represent, each one of them represents the start of a new day on our timeline. So right now on our chart we have 3 days: day 1, day 2, and day 3. Now let's for a second forget about day 1 and day 3 and just focus on day 2. We're going to use this chart to represent how the price of a certain currency pair changed through time. So let's assume, for instance, that we're looking at the Euro-US dollar currency pair. When day 2 started, this currency pair already had a price, a certain price. So at midnight of day 2, there was a certain price. Let's mark this price with a simple dash at the correct price level. Also, when the day finished, at midnight between day 2 and day 3, the Euro-US dollar currency pair also had a price. Let's mark that as well. So the first dash, the one on the left, is called the open price because the day 2, opened with that price. And the second dash, the one on the right, is called the close price because day 2 closed with that price. And also throughout day 2, the price naturally moved up and down, and somewhere there was a minimum price of that day. So let's mark that minimum price with an X. On the other hand, there was also a maximum price throughout the day. Let's mark that one with an X as well. If we now connect the X's with a vertical bar and forget about the X's themselves, then we have now created a complete bar for the Euro-US dollar currency pair for that day, for day 2. And as we saw through the creation process, any bar has 4 price points. The open price, which is the dash on the left, the low price, which is the bottom of the vertical bar, the high price, which is the top of the vertical bar, and the close price, which is the dash on the right. So to quickly sum up, every bar has an open, a low, a high, and a close price. And that's where the abbreviation OHLC comes from. Now if we put multiple of these bars together, then we will get a Forex bar chart. As you can see, the closing price of one day is actually the opening price of the next day. There are some exceptions to this rule, especially if you're looking at Friday and Monday, because something might have happened over the weekend and the opening price on Monday might be different to the closing price on Friday. But generally speaking, in most cases, bars flow on from each other. Now sometimes these bar charts can be colored into red and green rather than just black to help traders see right away which bars are going down and which bars are going up. Bars that are going down are called bearish bars, and bars that are going up are called bullish bars. But we'll talk more about bears and bulls in one of the upcoming tutorials. Now this is a bar chart. In Forex there are actually 2 more other types of charts that are very popular with traders. So the next type of chart, and perhaps you've even heard about this one, but if you haven't, doesn't matter, is called a candle chart. And I'm just going to transition this bar chart into a candle chart and watch how this transition happens. In front of us we have the same chart, but now it looks different. Instead of vertical bars and horizontal dashes, we've got these rectangles with lines sticking out of them at the top, at the bottom, and some of the rectangles are hollow and some of them are filled. In essence, this chart carries the same information, it's just visually represented differently. First thing that we can notice is that because of these vertical lines, some of the rectangles actually do look like candles, and that's why it's called a candle chart. Now every one of these candles has 3 elements to it. It's got a body and it's got 2 shadows. Sometimes the shadows are also called tails. The shadows are very easy to understand because they're the same as what we had with a bar chart. The top of the top shadow represents the maximum price or the high price, and the bottom of the bottom shadow represents the minimum price or the low price. The body is a bit trickier than with the bar chart. The bottom of the body can represent either the open price or the close price. And the top of the body can represent either the close price or the open price as well. So how do you understand which one is which? Well, there's a general convention that hollow candles are bullish candles, meaning the ones going up, and filled candles are the ones that are going down, or bearish candles. And here hollow means the same color as the background. Filled means a different color. The way to remember this is that hollow are lighter than filled because filled have more paint in them or color. They're heavier, so they're going down, and the hollow ones are lighter, so they're going up. That's the way I personally remember it. So knowing whether a candle is going up or down, it's very easy to understand where the open price is and where the close price is. This is because for a bullish candle, the bottom edge will always be the open price and the top edge will be the close price, whereas for a bearish candle, the top edge will be the open price and the bottom edge will be the close price. Also, candle charts can sometimes be colored, just as we saw with bar charts, and that helps traders see patterns quicker. In this case, red means bearish candles, green means bullish candles. And finally, this brings us to the last type of Forex chart, which is a line chart. A line chart basically simplifies this whole process by representing only one single price. It only represents the close price. So instead of looking at open, high, low, and close, the line chart will only look at the close price. So if we now take the close prices of every single day and we connect them, then we'll get a line chart. As you can see, it's much simpler. It carries less information, but sometimes it can be very convenient to make rough estimations and see overall patterns, and then further after this analysis go into more detail. Now let's have a look at a couple of real Forex charts. Here is the Euro-US dollar daily line chart. So as you can see, this is just what we talked about, only the close prices for every single day. At the bottom you can see the days, on the right you can see the prices, but most importantly we can see the line chart, which is showing us that currently the Euro-US dollar seems to be falling down. Now let's look at the same chart but represented by a bar chart. As you can see, now we have much more information. They might be a bit more cluttered, but we can see where the highs and lows were and exactly how this progression or this trend is developing. And now I'll change this bar chart into a candle chart, and you should decide for yourself which one you like more. So there's a candle chart. The filled bars are the bearish bars, the hollow bars are the bullish bars, and it's actually a matter of personal preference whether you like the bar charts or the candle charts more. Some people use candle charts, some people use bar charts. It all depends which one is visually more plausible to you. And finally, I wanted to show you the same bar chart but in a different color scheme, because we will be working with MetaTrader 4, and you'll notice that by default the color scheme is different. It is green on black. So I'm just going to transform this now, and as you can see here, this is the typical MetaTrader 4 bar chart. It's got a black background and it's got black and white bars. This might be a bit confusing at first because here the black bars are bullish and the white bars are bearish, as opposed to what we had on the previous slide. But the way to remember is not black and white, but hollow and filled. In this case, the background of the chart is black, so hollow will be black, and therefore the bullish bars are black in this instance. And whereas white is the opposite of black, and therefore the bearish bars are white and they're filled with color in this case. And before we finish off this tutorial, I'd like to mention that Forex charts are available not only at the daily level, but at many different time frames. So you could have 1 minute charts, you can have 10-minute charts, you can have 15-minute charts, 30-minute charts, weekly charts, monthly charts, and you can actually have any kind of chart in between because there are special tools to create those charts for you. But we'll go into more detail on this in further tutorials, and you'll see how we naturally will work with 15-minute time frames and hourly time frames. All of the concepts stay the same. On that note, we'll wrap up today's tutorial. Okay, so now that we know how Forex charts work and the three different types, let's see how we can use them in MetaTrader 4. So we're going to open up a new chart, and we're going to open up one of my favorite currency pairs, the Euro Canadian dollar currency pair. So let's right click and select a chart window. And now I'm going to expand this window so that it covers this whole workspace. And in fact, I'm going to close the terminal window because that will give us some more space for the chart. And now what we can do is we can change the chart type between bars and candlesticks and line chart. So first thing you will notice is that the chart is quite small, so we're quite far away. So let's go ahead and zoom in. To zoom in, click this plus button over here. Zoom in, let's zoom in a couple of times. There you go. So that's your chart. And now what we're going to do is we're going to change the type of the chart. Right now it's a bar chart, so just a standard bar chart. Now we want to change it to a candlestick, and we're going to press this button over here to change it to a candlestick chart. There you go. Now we have a candlestick chart. As you can see, it looks different. So I'm going to zoom in one more time, and if you want to move your chart around, then you can just left click the mouse and move it around. But we're not going to do that right now. We're focusing on the how the chart looks. So that is a candlestick chart, and even if we zoom in one more time, what you will see is that just like in the previous tutorial, you have your open. So in this case, this was the open, this was the close, this was the low, this was the high. Or let's look at this one here. So open, close, high, low. So, and if you put your mouse over it, it will pop up with a window which tells you everything about that candle. Then you've got a bearish candle. So you've got the open up here, the close down here, the high, the low. And as you can see, every candle is a continuation of the previous one. So the open for this candle was a close for this one. The open for this candle was a close for this one. The open for this candle is a close for this one, and so on. And now I can switch it back to standard bar charts. There we go. And also we can look at a line chart. So once again, this one has way less information. It only has the close prices. Although you can get all of the information if you put your mouse over a certain segment of the line. So this chart is good if you just want an overall picture, but generally traders don't use the line chart. Generally they stick to the candle chart or the bar chart. And that's how you use the three types of charts in MetaTrader 4. And in this tutorial, we're going to talk about two useful features when working with charts, and that is the auto scroll and the chart shift. So when you've got your chart open, the first thing I want to do right now is of course bring up the terminal window because we lost it. So we hid it in the previous tutorial. So to bring it up, you've got a button over here which is terminal, or just press Ctrl T on your keyboard, or you can go into view and you can go terminal. So there's your terminal window. And the other thing that I want to do right now is I don't really like the grid, and you probably already noticed that from the previous tutorials, but it makes the chart look distracting and cluttered sometimes. So I prefer to take it off. So let's go ahead and do that. We already know how to do that. We right click, go into properties, and then go into common, and we want to uncheck show grid. Click OK. By the way, some of these things in if you're using the Mac version of MetaTrader 4, they might be a bit different. It might be the buttons might be located in different places, but you can definitely find them. They're definitely there, and you can perform the same actions. Just bear in mind that they might be in a bit of a different place. So there we go. Oh, by the way, here's an interesting phenomenon. I promise to throw in tips along the way through this course, so here's one of them. Here you can see that normally a chart, so when a bar closes, the next one opens exactly where that one closed, and so on. So you can see they build into each other like that. And then you get here, and then bam, something happened, right? So what happened here? Why did this bar not start over here? Well, what you see here, if you put your, I'll show you how to do that in a second. So if you put your mouse over this chart, you will see that the time here is 23rd of October. And here, if you put your mouse over this bar, you'll see it's 26th of October. So that means that this was a weekend. So 24th, 25th were Saturday and Sunday. And this is normal for to happen at the start of the week. On a Monday, a currency pair can open at a different price to what it closed in the previous bar, and that is a phenomenon which is called a gap. So a gap can happen over the weekend, it can happen at other times, but basically some events happen during the weekend, and as soon as the market opened, nobody wanted to trade this currency pair at this price anymore. So people already thought that in this case, because this is a euro Canadian dollar currency pair, they thought that the euro was worth less in terms of the Canadian dollar, if it's quoted in the Canadian dollar, than what it was at the end of the week. So keep that in mind, and that is one of the phenomena that you will see on the Forex market, and that is also why you got to be careful when you're trading at the start of the week, or when especially when you're leaving trades over the weekend, because this can happen, and that can lead to bad results. Anyway, so this is our candlestick chart, and we've removed the grid. What we're going to talk about today is the auto scroll and chart shift. So what you will notice if I want to go to the left in this chart, if I want to go to the left as scroll, you will see that it lets me scroll, and then if I don't do anything, it pops back to the start. So then I go, and then it keeps me like it's like a magnet. It keeps going back to the start, and I can't do anything about it. Like I'm looking at these bars of 16th of October, I'm analyzing them, and bam, all of a sudden I'm back here. Well, that is because we've got the auto scroll on, and what the auto scroll does is, as soon as a new tick appears in the in your chart, so as soon as more information is added to your chart, it automatically brings you to the starting position, or to this to the current bar which has been formed over here. And that can be useful sometimes if you're observing a low time frame and it's happening very quickly, and you just want the chart to constantly be updating this part of the chart, so this right part of the chart. But sometimes it's not useful, especially if you want to look at the history. It can be distracting. So in order to switch off the auto scroll, all you have to do is click this green button over here, and just click it, left click it, and that way it's not on anymore, and you can safely scroll back through the history. So just left click the chart and move your mouse to the right. It will move your chart to the left, and as you can see, we're not being moved back to the beginning of the chart. Hello and welcome back to the course on MetaTrader 4. In today's tutorial, we're talking about chart zoom and compression. So we've already discussed zoom a bit. We have these two buttons at the top, so we've zoomed into the maximum. We can't zoom anymore. If we want to zoom out, then we just click this button and we can zoom out over here. So that is one way to control your zoom. Another way to control your zoom, which also not many people know about, is if you look at this timeline over here. Once you put your mouse over it, you can see these two arrows up here under your mouse, and that means that you can zoom in and zoom out. So just hold down the left mouse button and either drag to the left, that will zoom out, or drag to the right, that will zoom in. So there you go. So now we've zoomed into the maximum, and now we're zooming out, and that's the zoom out to the maximum. So that's a quick way to control your zoom without having to press these buttons, but basically the effect is exactly the same. And chart compression allows you to compress your chart vertically. So right now our chart is not compressed at all, but what we can do is we can put our mouse over the vertical axis over here and hold down the left mouse button and drag down. That'll compress your bars. And this can be convenient if you have some markups and you can't see them. So let's have an example of that, and I'll show you when you use compression. So let's zoom out, right? And let's say, for example, I want to show that this is an important line over here, right? So this is an important level. As you can see, the currency pair went down back in, when was this? This was in 16th of October. So once again, I'll show you how to work with the crosshairs in a bit. So in 16th of October or 15th to 19th of October, the currency pair went down here. It hit this level, then it hit the level again, then it bounced off the level, then it bounced off the level again. So this is an important level, and we want to highlight that, right? So in order to do that, we'll add a horizontal line. And we'll talk about adding lines and other markup tools to your charts further down in the course. But for now, I'll just show you how to add a horizontal line. So just click this button over here, draw horizontal line. If you then press under, you will add the horizontal line, and as you can see, it's nicely positioned, so it's showing you that the price did bounce off this line at least 3 times. So as you can see, that happened here and here. So this is called a support level because the price bounces off of it. And let's say we've marked it up, and now if I zoom back in, you can see that at this level of zoom, I can't see that support level, right? But now if I want to see it, I have 2 options. I can either zoom out, right? But then will see too much of the chart. I don't want to see all of these bars. So I'll zoom back in, but in order to see the support level, what I can do is I can compress my chart, and that way now I can see this level and I can see how far away the price is from that level. So there you go. That is how you use zoom and compression in MetaTrader 4. I look forward to seeing you next time, and until then, happy trading. In this tutorial, we'll talk about how to change the time frame of your chart in MetaTrader 4 and why you would do that and how potentially you could use the different time frames together. All right, so let's open up a new chart because we're kind of getting a bit tired of this one. And let's say, what do we want? What do we want? Let's say we want to look at the dollar Swiss franc for a change. And right click, chart window. So there we go, that's our dollar Swiss franc chart. And as you can see, by default, I'm actually going to press this chart shift button. So by default, you can see that that 1 hourly time frame has been opened, and that happens when you open up a new chart. So what is a 1 hourly time frame? If I zoom in now, and if I, let's say, change these to candles, you will see that every single candle here is a new hour. So if I put my mouse over this candle, you'll see that here it's 2015, 10th, 26th, so 26th of October, 12 o'clock. Here it's 13, so 1 o'clock. Here it's 14. So every single bar represents a new hour. And as we discussed in one of the previous tutorials, these bars, the way they're formed, or these candles, the way they're formed is you've got your open price, so at what price did this candle open, or at what price did this hour open, what price did this hour close, what was the minimum, what was the maximum within that hour. So inside this hour, there's a lot of movement of the currency pair, but it's all aggregated into this one bar. Now, that might not be enough for your analysis, and you might actually want more information on how exactly did the currency pair move. And in that case, you want to move, or you want to change this chart to a bit more granular chart. So a chart that is not broken down into 1 hourly sections or 1 hourly candles, but one that is broken down into 30-minute candles. So let's go ahead and see how that will work out. I'm going to press this button over here, and now, as you can see, this is the same currency pair, but the chart looks totally different. Well, that is because now, instead of seeing a candle for every hour, we see a candle for every 30 minutes. So let's go ahead and find that 26th of October, 12 p.m. So what is this? There we go. So that is 26th of October, 12 p.m. And that is 26th of October, 12:30 p.m. So previously, these two candles were combined into one. And that was the open, that was the close, that was the minimum, and that was the maximum. But now they're separate because we're looking at a level of aggregation which is 30 minutes. So there was a lot of movement in these 30 minutes. There was a lot of movement in these 30 minutes. But this is how it's aggregated. So as you can see, there's more information on this chart. It is more detailed. Now if I go into even lower, into 15 minutes, you will see that the chart, so I'm going to zoom out now. The chart looks different again. It does look similar. So you see the same pattern. So if I go back to M30, you can see there it is. So on the hourly time frame, there it is. On the 30-minute time frame, there it is. On the 15-minute time frame, there it is. And you can go and look for 26th of October. So that's 12:45. That's 12:15. That's 12 o'clock, right? So there is these 4 bars over here: 12 o'clock, 12:15, 12:30, and 12:45. Previously they were in a 1 hour or in 2 30-minutes. So there's one 30-minute bar, there's the other 30-minute bar, but now they're separate. Now they're 4 15-minute bars. And once again, this chart is even more detailed than the previous one. And you can keep doing that. You can go to the 5-minute time frame. So I'm going to zoom out again. And where do we see the pattern here? So I think, where's 12 o'clock? So there it is. So, and I'm going to take this scroll off because it's moving me to the right. So you can see that 26th of October, 12 o'clock, somewhere here. So that's the movement that we were looking at previously. And you can even go lower. You can go to the 1-minute time frame. So I'm going to zoom out one more time. So because it is getting so detailed, I need to zoom out more and more to see more of this chart. So you can see that this is very detailed, and to get to the 12 o'clock time, we have to scroll quite a bit. So this is that movement that we were talking about. Now, for some trading strategies, you might need that much detail. For some, you might not. So there's a lot of noise in this movement, and it does take up a lot of space on your chart. So sometimes traders trade M5, sometimes traders trade M15, M30, H1. Also, you can go up. So instead of going down, you can look at what happened on a more like larger scale, right? So if I zoom back in, by the way, when you're like zoomed, when you're far away from the right, the fastest way to get back to the right is just unclick the red button and then click it again, and then you're back on the right here. So there's another tip for you. And so 26th of October, so there's our movement, right? Yep, there it is. So that is the 12 o'clock bar, and that's the movement we have been discussing so far. If I change this to the 4-hourly time frame, watch how all of these bars will convert into 4-hourly bars. So every 4 hours will be combined into one bar. Once I click that, you can see that there's less bars. And what is this? This is the 12 o'clock bar. So that is those 4 bars that we were looking at. They have been combined into one. And then we can go even further. We can look at the daily chart. So here you just have every bar is a day. And that is exactly what we looked at in our example, which we borrowed from the other course. Then you can look at weekly bars. You can look at monthly bars. So you've got quite a lot of options available to you here. And all depends on what you're analyzing and how detailed you want to go. So if you want just the monthly movements, okay, so here you can see it's all the way from 2001 up to 2014. So that might be a bit too not granular. So too little detail in this. I personally, I never use the monthly time frame. Weekly, maybe that might give you some information. Daily is useful because it can tell you, all right, so where is this chart going? So here you see from March to October. So where is this chart going? By the way, that's what happened in January 2015 with the Swiss franc. You probably heard about it when there was a bit of a big drop, or in this currency pair, dollar Swiss franc. A lot of companies went bankrupt there. So yeah, that's a historical event over there. So depends on what analysis you're doing, depends on what your goals are. You might be wanting to look at other timeframes. And finally, I wanted to show you how you would use two timeframes together. So let's say you're trading on the 1-hourly time frame, which is this one. What you might want to do is, I'm just going to minimize this window or make it smaller. What you might want to do is, in parallel to your 1-hourly time frame, you might want to have a higher time frame. So let's say you might want to have your daily time frame, which is this one. And what this will show you is it can show you the overall trend. Whoops, let me zoom in a bit more. So this can show you the overall trend. So here you can see that the overall trend in the daily chart, it's kind of like it's in a zigzag movement or a sideways movement, and that way that can help you analyze the hourly time frame. So if you're trading this chart, you just don't want to trade it against the trend, and this can help you give you some insights into that. Or on the contrary, you might want the smaller time frame here, so say a 15-minute time frame, so that you're thinking, okay, I'm going to enter a buy order here because it looks like it's going up. I'm going to enter a buy order, and this smaller time frame chart will allow you to make your entry more precise, and you will see, okay, so this chart confirms that it looks like it is going to go up, and I'm going to use this chart to assist my decision that I'm making on this chart. And so that is how you would potentially use two charts at the same time, two time frames at the same time. But the most important thing that we learned today is how to switch time frames. You just use these buttons over here to control your chart. There is another way that you could do it. You could just go to charts and you could go to time frames and select your time frame over here. Or you could right click your chart and select time frames and select your time frame from over here. But I find that the most convenient way is to just use these buttons in your toolbar. So there we go. That's us for today. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, happy trading. Hello and welcome back to the course on MetaTrader 4. This is a quick tutorial to show you how to use the crosshair and also to demonstrate a quick trick that you can use with the crosshair. Alright, so we've got a chart here, and how have we been extracting information from this chart so far? So first of all, visually, right, we can see it's going up and then it's flattening out. Then I can zoom in, and what can I see here? So I can kind of like visually see what price is over here, what price is over there. I can visually try to assess the time. So this looks like 2:45. A good way is always to put your mouse over the bar. So once I put my mouse over the bar, a pop-up appears and it tells me exactly the time, open, high, low, and close, and even volume. Also, what we want is we kind of want to be more agile, right? So just putting the mouse over every single bar, that takes time, and waiting for this pop-up, it's not that visual, it's not that quick. So there's a tool in MetaTrader 4 that allows you to very quickly assess any bar and get any information that you want, and that is a crosshair. So if you go to the left over here, you'll see next to the mouse there's this crosshair symbol, and if you just click it and then you put your mouse back on the bar, it's no longer a mouse, it's a crosshair. And this is a very convenient tool because as you can see here, when I'm putting the crosshair on any part of the chart, it's telling me the exact price and it's telling me the exact time of that bar. So for instance, this bar, I can tell right away it's a 2:45 bar, right? So the open price, I can tell where the open price is visually, and then I put my crosshair over it. I can tell that the open price was about 0.98287. The close price was 0.98255. What does this tell us? Okay, so I was pretty close. So here it says 0.98254, and also I can see the low over here. So a very convenient tool, and then you just click on the other chart. So if you want the crosshair for this chart, you need to go and click it again, and that gives you the crosshair here. So if you want to switch back to the mouse, you just click the mouse and click the mouse here. So click on the chart, click the mouse, and now you don't have crosshairs. Now that is how you access the crosshair, but at the same time, as you can imagine, it's a bit tedious to every time. So I just want some information quickly. I go there, I get the information, and I go back and I click the mouse. So there's a quick hack for the crosshair. All you have to do to bring up the crosshair is middle click your mouse. So the scroll bar or this the scroll wheel on your mouse, just click it and the crosshair will appear. If I want it to disappear, I just left click my mouse anywhere on the chart and it's gone. Same thing here. If I want the crosshair to appear, there it is. And if I want it to disappear, I left click the mouse. So that is the crosshair, and that is how you use it in MetaTrader 4. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, happy trading. Hello and welcome back to the course on MetaTrader 4. As you can see here, I've tiled all my charts, and as we discussed, you do that by just clicking this button here, and it looks pretty neat like that. And what I wanted to discuss in this tutorial is one more window in MetaTrader 4 that we haven't talked about yet. So we've talked about 4 windows so far. We've talked about the Market Watch window, which is here. We've talked about the Navigator window. We've touched on the Terminal window over here. I've shown you how to bring up the Strategy Tester window. So you just click this button here, and that's the Strategy Tester window, and then you can close it the same way. And there's one more window which we haven't talked about, and that is this 5th window here. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them are here, and this is the 5th one, which is called the data window. So let's go ahead and click that. And so what information do we have here? Well, basically this window displays information for wherever your mouse is. So if my mouse is on a given chart, let's say this Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar chart. By the way, let's tile our windows again so that they fit. So if my mouse is over here, then I've got the same information as in the pop-up. So if I put my mouse over a certain bar, then I will get a pop-up with some information. So it's exactly the same information, but it's much faster. So it updates wherever your mouse goes. Plus, you don't have to have a bar. So as you can see, I'm even getting information for this space here or this space here, even though there's no pop-up appearing. And in that way, it's kind of similar to the crosshair. So I can click the crosshair and I can still get some information for this space, even though there's no pop-up. So it kind of follows you around wherever you go on whichever chart, and the name of the chart updates at the top of the data window. You can see over here. Also, what's great about the data window is if you go onto a chart that has an indicator, then it will give you information about that indicator as well. So in this case, we've got information about the alligator, and it's got the jaws, teeth, and lips. So those are the three lines that we see here, and it gives you the information for those lines for this particular, in this case, 4-hourly bar or candlestick, whichever you're looking at. And so that's a quick way to get information on your indicator. Here we've got information on the MACD line, on the signal line. Here we've got information on the CCI. So it can be handy if you've got like lots of indicators on your chart and you want to assess them very quickly and understand what the values are if you actually need the values. Personally, I don't use the data window often, or if at all, because it's for me it's kind of distracting, because as I move through the charts or through one chart, it's constantly updating, and at the same time it's also taking up some space here. If you like the data window but you don't like it taking up space over here, what you can do, as just like with any window in MetaTrader 4, you can take this window and say you can put it here and make it a floating window, or you can put it down at the bottom and make it share some space with your terminal window, or you can put it just above your terminal window like that, or you can put it over here on the left in between your market watch and navigator, or you can put above or below, with whatever suits you better. And also we'll talk about getting your workspace prepared and getting organized a bit more, or a lot more probably, in the next section of the course. So there we go. That's how you use the data window, and that's what it's for in MetaTrader 4. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, happy trading. Hello and welcome back to the course on MetaTrader 4. Today we're going to talk about the full screen mode. So a lot of traders don't know this, but in MetaTrader 4 you have an option to view your chart in full screen mode. And that means putting this workspace to fit your entire screen. So I'll show you how to do that. One way is to just click F11 on your keyboard. And there you go. So the chart is in full screen mode. And click F11 to put it into normal mode again, or as often in MetaTrader, there are a couple ways to do things. So here you could go into view and select full screen, and once again your chart goes into full screen mode, and you got all the other charts down here, so you can switch among them if you like. And what that does is gives you a bit more room, it gives you a bit more space. Especially this is useful if you're on a laptop on a small or on a small screen, and if you don't have enough room and temporarily you just want to remove all of these windows. You can basically achieve the same result by switching off all of these windows like that, but then you'll still have the toolbar at the top. So a similar result, but it can get a bit tedious switching them on and off all the time. So that's why MetaTrader 4 has the full screen mode, so that you can really drill into your analysis and also get rid of all of these distractions for a while. Just focus on exactly what you're analyzing on your chart and what you want to see. So there you go. Don't forget that you have the full screen mode to use to your advantage when you're working in MetaTrader 4. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, happy trading.